So in this, what we're doing is reading serial data, but the way that we're going to do it on this one is to have a start character and then have an end character, and then everything inside in that between those two characters is going to be useful data that we're going to do something with. So it'll look kind of like something like this here. So we're just going to use that type of bracket, and then there'll be, information inside in the middle of it, something like that. Close it off. So we're going to use this information inside in the middle of it, and just use these two kind of parentheses here as a means for isolating that information. So the first thing we're going to do is create that start character, and that's going to be a constant character, and it's not going to change, so we're going to use a const char start character, and that's going to equal to this, and then we're going to have our end character. Same again, it's going to be a constant const char end character, and that's going to equal this guy here. Then the next thing I suppose we can do is have the let's say the max number of characters that we'll ever want to read. Now we might not read these all the time, but yeah, we kind of need to put in a number. So for in this case, I'm just going to put in an unsigned 8-bit integer and call it max characters. Now put that little a out of there. So it's going to equal, let's just say 50 in this case. Right. So next thing is we're going to create an array, and all of the serial information that we get that's going to be between those two parentheses is going to be passed into this array. So it's going to be an array of characters. So character, and let's call it received characters. Received characters, and then the size of this array is going to be the max characters here. Do we need anything else? Not for the moment, I don't think. Yeah, we'll circle back to the rest of that as we move through it. So serial communication. So we're going to have to set up our serial line, and that is serial dot begin, and we're just going to use a generic 9600. So that's the baud, that's the rate that we communicate at. Yeah, 9600 is just a very generic one. So that brings us down to our main loop here, and so I like to use a non-blocking system. I've seen people do this type of thing in a while loop, but I like to do it in a non-blocking sort of. I'm just going to use an if statement. It's because in the future we'll have other things that are going to be going on in this main loop too, so I don't like to spend too much time on a particular aspect of it. So if serial dot, that needs to be a capital S, serial dot available, and if that is greater than 0, so that's just pretty much asking what's on the serial line. If there's greater than 0 information on that line, we're going to do something here. So that could be 1 byte or whatever. So now we're just going to create a character that's going to store an individual piece of that information. So character, and it's going to be received character. Receive character, and that's going to be equal to serial dot read. So now we've asked the serial line is there any information on there? If there is information on it, we're going to pass that information into a received character. So if that character is equal to, so if received character is equal to the start character, then we're now receiving data. Let's create a flag here. It's going to be a bool, and let's call it receiving data. I'm going to initialize that to false, and now receiving data here. It's going to be equal to true. Yeah, that's all we're going to do with that. Now we're going to go move on to the next part of it, which will be, we'll do an else if here. If receiving data is true and the received character is, say, not equal to the end character, let's do something here then. So this is, if we're now receiving data, so we've got our start character, if that's equal to true, and our received character here is not equal to our end character, that means that we're in the middle of the information that we're receiving from the serial line. So if we're in the middle of the information that we're receiving, that means we're going to want to be filling in the received characters array. So take this. Now we're going to need some way of indexing this array. Well, so let's create a unsigned integer, and let's call it received character index. So received character index, and we'll initialize that to 0. We've got our received character index, so that's where we're going to be passing the information into, and the information that we're going to pass into this is going to be the received character. Yeah, makes sense. And once we've passed the received character into the received characters array, we're going to increment our received character index. I know these names are a bit kind of long, but I prefer to have long names and descriptive names and not have to use comments, because I'm pretty sure, you know, if someone came along and read this, it'd be fairly clear what's actually happening. So we're just going to increment that. So the next thing we're going to do is, I suppose, so we've checked for our start character, we're receiving our middle section, so now the next thing to do is to look for our end character. So if receiving data is true and our received character is equal to our end character. Yeah. So if that's the case, we are going to then terminate that array. And so we'll take this, bring this down here, and it's going to be equal to, we're going to pass in a termination character. So this here is the termination character, and that just means that's the end of that section of information. We've now received all that information. We found our end character, and now just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to print off the information that we received. So I'll just do a quick little for loop inside in here. Score t I. So we've got an unsigned 8-bit integer. That's going to be equal to 0. If the integer is less than, let's say, the received character index, because that's been counting the number of characters that we've received. So if it's less than that, I want I to be incremented. Right. That's fair enough, I think. And then we're going to do serial dot write, and it's going to be the received characters, and the character we're going to print is whatever our iterator is, and that's I. Yeah, I think that's it here. So inside this, yeah, okay. So once we've all that done, we can take our index and reset that to 0, and we can then take receiving data as well, and we'll turn that to false. And we can also then do a serial.print ln, and that will just, so after we finish printing whatever's in our received characters array, we're just going to print a new line, and that'll make it easier for us to read then. So let's try and compile this and see how we get on. That should be it. Right. Okay, and we're on the UNO, and upload to the UNO. Let's open up the serial monitor, make sure we're at 9600, and so we're just gonna enter just something inside here. So we've got our start character, we've got our end character, and then we have our information inside in here. So hopefully now I press enter and we see the middle bit. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so that's, let's try it again. We'll put in some numbers, some letters, we can put in some brackets. Yeah, and so we should see everything that's inside within those two pointed brackets. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you got any questions, put it in the comments. If you think there was something here I could have done better, I'd love to hear it. So yeah, comment down below, like, subscribe, all that stuff. And yeah, I'll see you for the next one. The next video, I think we will be taking information, parsing it. Yeah, and we'll see where we go from there.